Hey, it's Arjun, CEO of Doula, and in today's video, I'm going to walk through how to start a business in the US from Canada. Doula has helped over 10,000 entrepreneurs from over 175 countries, including Canada. And not only that, but we've raised over $13 million in venture capital to build an incredible experience and product and create content just like this. We're backed by some of the world's best investors, including Y Combinator, Nexus Venture Partners, HubSpot Ventures, Dharmesh Shah, the co-founder and CTO of HubSpot, Sahil Bloom, Cody Sanchez, Graham Stephan, and more. And without further ado, let's dive in and walk through how a Canadian citizen like yourself can launch a business in the US. If you have already registered a Canadian business, you can also register that business to do business in all 50 states. You could form a LLC or limited liability company for liability protection. You can form a corporation, or you can launch a sole proprietorship or partnership. And watch this video to understand how you can start a business in the US from Canada. And these are the steps to do that, not tomorrow, not in a year, but today. Understanding how you can start a business in the US as a Canadian citizen is step 0, so let's start there. And it's not only possible to start a business in the USA from Canada, but starting a business in the US allows you to expand to a new market. The US population is approximately 9 times that of Canada, and this opens many opportunities for new clients and larger market share. So whether you're starting a new business or expanding an existing Canadian business, many US states offer a favorable business climate and tax structure to launch your company. Canadian business owners may also choose to start a business in the US for the benefits a limited liability company offers. In fact, you can start an LLC in the US without moving to the US. Yes, you can do it remotely. You can opt to file formation documents and take additional necessary steps to form a US business, or you can hire a business formation service such as Doula to do it for you. You'll need to hire a registered agent with a registered office as your official representative within the state where you registered the LLC. If you plan to travel to the US for business, you can then get a business visa depending on your business purpose. The types of US business work visas for international founders, including Canadians starting a business in the US, are E2 investor visas for Canadians, E2 visas for Canadians buying an existing US business, E2 visas for Canadians starting a new US business, EB5 green cards for Canadian citizens, H-1B visas for Canadian entrepreneurs. Now you might be wondering, where should you actually incorporate your business in the US? The first step to launching your business in the US is to decide where to register and form the business. Choosing the state where you want to start or incorporate your business is a crucial first step, as it can have far-reaching implications on taxes, annual filing requirements, fees, and privacy protections. You can incorporate it in any state you choose if you plan to live in the US. And the best state to incorporate is usually where you live or where the business will primarily operate. However, if you don't live in the US, 2 of the best states to form in are Delaware and Wyoming. These states have strong privacy laws, favorable business policies, and low or no state income tax. Whether or not you should start an LLC in a state you don't live in can be a big question, so you can schedule a consultation with us if you really are unsure about this. How to start a business in the US from Canada in 7 steps. Let's dive in, let's do it. If you're ready to launch a business in the USA from Canada and prefer the DIY or do it on your own method, follow these steps. But again, if you want a professional to help, Doula is 1 click away. Step 1, choose a business name. Deciding on a good business name is essential for business success. Consider names that are unique, memorable, and related to the business offerings. Be sure to check the web domain and social media availability to see what similar businesses are already online and to ensure that you can build a strong web presence for the LLC marketing strategy. You'll also need to check the Secretary of State's website where you plan to form the LLC. You can't choose an LLC name that's already taken in the state. Depending on the state laws, you must include a limited liability company, LLC or L.L.C in the name. Personally, I prefer the LLC without the dots. It's cleaner. In most states, you can't use restricted words like attorney, university, or bank without meeting additional criteria. And be sure to double check that the intended name isn't already trademarked. Choosing an LLC name checklist. Brainstorm names, check the domain name and social media handle available. The worst thing is you buy a domain and realize the handle's taken. Look for businesses with similar names to make sure it's not too similar because the state will reject that. Search with the Secretary of State to confirm that no other business is registered with that name. That's free, you can do that online. You can use the US Trademark Electronic Search System to ensure the name isn't trademarked as well. Step 2, deciding on a business structure. Next, you'll need to determine the legal structure of your business. This will affect taxation, administration, and filing requirements. Here are the most common options. Sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is the simplest business structure to set up. You don't need to register anything, although you may still need business licenses depending on your industry. A sole proprietorship means you're the only owner of the company. This simplifies administration. You'll also pay taxes for the business on your individual income tax return. The disadvantage of a sole proprietorship is that you're not protected from legal liability. The business also isn't considered a separate business entity. That means if anything happens or the business is sued, you are personally liable. Partnership. A partnership is the next simplest structure. Instead of forming the company alone, in a partnership, you'll form a company with 2 or more owners. There are no specific filing requirements for partnerships, and it also uses pass-through taxation, simplifying administration across the board. However, a partnership also has the same disadvantages as a sole proprietorship. The business also isn't considered a separate business entity, so you're not protected from legal liability. If anything happens or the business is sued, you're personally liable. And both partners' personal assets could be lost for business debts. LLC, or a limited liability company, combines the simplified administration of a sole proprietorship or a partnership with excellent liability protection. Forming an LLC is fast and usually requires only a few simple filings. With an LLC, you have a separate business entity that protects the LLC owners and their assets. The advantages of running an LLC are simplified filings, flexible structure, and strong liability protection. C corporation. A C corporation is a business entity taxed separately from its owners. It can have an unlimited number of shareholders and can issue stock. Compared to an LLC, corporations must meet more administrative requirements. A C corporation must meet corporate formalities and keep corporate records. Corporations also don't offer pass-through taxation, which means that business income could be double taxed because the corporation will have to pay income tax and you'll also have to pay income tax on your individual earnings. A corporation is the best business structure if you plan to take the company public and issue stock. Step 3. File to incorporate. The steps to file to incorporate will depend on the business entity you choose. To form an LLC or a corporation, you must file with the Secretary of State or the Department of Corporations in the state where you plan to register your business. You can find steps to form an LLC in all 50 states on our website, or you can check out our video on the topic too. Step 4. Get an EIN. After forming the LLC, you have to apply for an employer identification number or an EIN with the IRS, especially if you want to open a U.S. business bank account. You can apply for an EIN online, over the phone, or by mail. You'll get the fastest processing with an online application. But if you are a non-U.S. resident living outside the U.S., unfortunately, in this day and age, you still have to fax a form to the IRS to get your EIN. You cannot do it online. Don't sweat. Doula can help you fill out Form SS4 to fax this form to the IRS and get your EIN for you. Step 5. Obtain licenses and permits. After you form the company, you'll need to obtain any necessary licenses or permits to operate in the state. This can include industry-specific business licenses or general business licenses. Licensing requirements and permits vary by state. You can contact the Secretary of State and the local Chamber of Commerce to understand the requirements where you plan to operate the business. Step number 6, open a business bank account. With your company in hand and with your EIN in hand, opening a business bank account is important to separate business funds from personal funds. It makes accounting simpler and can also help protect your personal assets in case of business liability. It's simply cleaner to keep everything separate. You'll need an EIN to open the business bank account. You can also open a US PayPal account or Stripe account and connect that to your business bank account so that payouts are deposited. Step 7, file your reports. It is important to maintain the business in good standing by filing reports annually. Filing costs and procedures vary by state and the type of business entity. However, most states allow you to file online for an LLC or a corporation. You'll also need to pay the state-specified annual registration fees. What is the role of a U.S. registered agent? A U.S. registered agent is the official representative of your company in the state. They must meet specific requirements. While state laws specify the exact criteria, in most states, the registered agent must be at least 18 years old and a state resident. The registered agent must also have a registered address, which is the physical address where the state and the public can reach the business during regular business hours. You will need a registered agent for any business structure when starting a business in the U.S. What are your tax responsibilities? Tax compliance when starting a business in the U.S. from Canada is critical. The USA and Canada have a tax treaty to prevent double taxation and facilitate citizens from both countries working in the other country. There's also a trade relationship called the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, which can affect taxation policies for certain businesses. In addition, the business structure you choose and whether you elect to use pass-through taxation or file as a corporation will affect tax obligations. State taxes also vary based on where the business is formed and operating. You can speak with a tax professional or CPA who understands both US and Canadian tax laws to ensure correct filings. You can chat with a doula CPA for free to help understand your specific tax concerns. At the end of the day, you can create a US business from Canada with doula by your side. For most business owners, an LLC offers the best of both worlds. Not only do you get liability protection and privacy from a legal business entity, but you have simplified administration and pass-through taxation benefits depending on your tax situation. If you're ready to form an LLC in the US, doula can help. And you can learn more about how we support Canadians from all over the world by talking to our team today. You can get doula's fast and professional formation services in all 50 states, including Wyoming and Delaware. And you'll also get help getting your EIN, getting a bank account, submitting your state tax filings, and IRS federal tax filings. We want to help across the board. We are building a business in a box to ensure that you can focus on what you do best, which is building your business, while doula handles the rest, the unsexy yet critical back office and compliance. Last but not least, I'm going to finish with some FAQs, or frequently asked questions we get when it comes to starting a business from Canada or outside the US in the US. Question 1. How long does it typically take to start a business in the US from Canada? The time it takes to start a business in the USA from Canada depends on the business structure and the state where you file. Sometimes you can create a business in the USA within the same day of filing online or in person. In other cases, it can take up to 4 weeks to form an LLC, get an EIN, and open a business bank account. Can I hire employees in the USA for my business? Yes, you can hire employees in the USA for your USA business. You must register in at least one US state and have an EIN to hire employees. Do I need a physical presence in the USA to start a business? Yes, you need a physical presence in the USA to start a business. However, you can hire a registered agent to act as your physical representative in the state where the company is registered for business. The registered agent must also have a registered address for the business. How can I find a suitable business idea for the US market? To find suitable business ideas, consider in-depth market research in your chosen industry. Look at what competitors are doing and consider unique offerings that fill a need of your target market. That's a wrap. I hope after watching this video, you feel much more confident about not only starting a business in the US from Canada, but now you realize that it's actually possible. And I'll finish with the best piece of advice I've gotten when it comes to business. The most expensive mistake you can make is choosing a cheap accountant, a cheap tax partner, or a cheap business formation partner. And that's because a lot of these decisions you make here are irreversible. Technically, if you form the wrong entity type or do the wrong filing, you can fix it. But it will cost a lot of time, it will cost a lot of money, and it will cost a lot of stress. As a business, you have enough things on your plate. It's hard enough to get a business off the ground and started. So our entire goal at Doula is to provide support so that you can focus on what you do best while Doula handles the rest. Let's Doula it. Hope to see you soon.